Greetings once more. This is our fifth session on this series, Strategic Thinking in Spite of Competition. It's going to be very exciting today. I have a very interesting theory I'd like to present. Who can guess the theory that was developed in 1997? 1, 2, 3 seconds. All right, you got it. DCT, that is the Dynamic Capabilities Theory. By who? TIS in 1997. I can almost bet if you've done strategic management at your MBA or PhD level, you must have cited TIS 1997 at one level or the other. So while I talk about this particular theory, I'd like to introduce you to one of my newest books. It's called The Strategy of Imitation, right? It has a lot of case studies from across the world, across Kenya and across the global south. It's available on Zania Digital Bookstore, and you can find it at your own convenience. Order from wherever you are and you can get the book delivered to you. Now, dynamic capabilities theory is a theory that challenges the aspect of competitive advantage being just an internal or an external capability. It tends to bring up the ideology that yes, you could have resources, true, but how you adapt to changes, because we are aware we live in a very volatile kind of economic setup. So changes must happen, they will happen. The real deal is how you adjust to those changes, okay? So I'd like to give an example of a company like, let me go back to Safaricom. So what happened after COVID is that many of us stopped using, or rather reduced the usage of cash money in paying public transport, that is matatus. And so you'll find most of us are money on our phones, and so you really want to pay from your phone. But initially, the service providers, what we call the conductors, or rather the makangas, were not very conversant or very appreciative of the fact that you can pay via M-Pesa, send money, okay? Because you could pay, 2 minutes later you reverse the money and you're good, you actually have free transport. So what did they do? They insisted on cash money. So there was a conflict. So on this side, we passengers want to pay via M-Pesa. On this other side, the service providers don't want to accept money via send money. So what did Safaricom do? They came up with a product called Pochi la Biashara. And Pochi la Biashara was able to sort this issue for once and for all, okay? So if you pay money via Pochi la Biashara, the service provider is assured that you cannot reverse, and so they can actually accept that. So while other service providers were keen on developing send money systems, reducing transaction fees and all that, Safaricom was intent on developing a product that can be favorable for both service providers and the users of their product. So the competitive advantage from the DCT perspective comes from the ability to sense a change in the market, seize that opportunity, and then transform in line with that opportunity. So companies that do not sense, seize, and transform, or rather they do not see the change coming, they do not transform, then they are unable to, and companies that cannot integrate changes in their products, they are unable to cope and they are unable to develop competitive advantage. All right? So think of a company from an African perspective. Let's say, what company from an African perspective? Think of, let's say, MultiChoice, or rather, let's think of the providers of DSTV. So we have been in a society where we are now changing from getting news from the traditional televisions to getting news from social media, TikTok and all that. So if DSTV is not able to transform, see that change and transform from being just a traditional provider of TV network connections, cable connections, then they are likely to be forgotten, because the market is dynamic, it's demanding, it's calling for a change. And so maybe a good example as well is from Kenya, and I think this also applies in Uganda. The change of Nation Media Group from use of selling us the physical printed newspapers to now becoming more of a podcast driven more of a, what do you call it, vlogger driven, and also mobile app driven communication. So instead of buying a newspaper, which I'm sure, I think the last time I bought a newspaper must have been a couple of years ago. So I would rather pay a subscription fee to Nation Media Group, access their news via mobile application, and I'm good to go. I mean, it's less unlikely that going forward, and the kind of generations coming in, customers will have the time to want to read a physical newspaper. It's much more easier, it's more affordable, and it's more advisable for companies to now switch from, sense the change, sense where the world is going, seize that opportunity, and transform in line with that opportunity. I'm glad you followed to this far, so I look forward to seeing you again, and wish you a very, very nice time. Goodbye.